allow me to introduce our special guest for this evening. Now, we all know that IQI Global, or July IQI, is one of the biggest real estate firms in the world. It is the biggest Asian-owned real estate firms, and it's just befitting that we talk to someone who knows exactly what it's like to be at the top of the real estate industry. So, our guest, we call him the Master Salespreneur. Ooh, what is a Master Salespreneur? We'll find out a bit later. And he is also the founder of the undisputed #1 realty group for Lancaster and Pro Friends. To those of you in the real estate industry, you guys know what those are. He even dominates the horizontal developments in the South. I'm really excited to have none other than the President of Green Circle Realty, Sir Gabriel, or Billy Dominguez. Hi, Sir Billy, or rather, let me just call you Billy. Hi, Billy. How are you?
Yes. I thank you, Ken. Good morning. I always say good morning in sales, no? So it's my pleasure to be part of your show. Real people, real stories.
It's awesome. It's awesome to have you, and I know that we're gonna enjoy, and those watching are also gonna enjoy learning from you. No, there are so many people with dreams, and many times, medyo siguro natatakot ang mga natatakot sila, or sometimes ako rin, natatakot ako in terms of how am I supposed to get there? How am I supposed to even start? So, we'd like to learn what your origin story is. Basically, how did you start your career in real estate?
Fresh from college, I graduated as communication arts student, no, from the University of Santo Tomas. So during that time, I was really expecting so much. What will I do after college? So unfortunately, without so much choices, I was able to get a job in government. And I was fortunate to have been the one or a part of the pioneering team of a government agency called Home Development Mutual Fund, which is more popularly known as Pag-ibig Fund. And I worked as a casual employee because during that time, I just came from college, and you know, if you're a government employee, you are required to become civil service eligible to become a permanent employee. But fresh from college, I did not have any civil service eligibility, so I stayed as a casual employee. But after that, I enjoyed the work because it was about housing, helping the ordinary people to have a savings program intended for their housing needs. I enjoyed the job. We promoted it all over the country. So I grew in the position from a casual employee. When I got my civil service eligibility, I was promoted from time to time to the next position. And to cut the long story short, I became the department manager of public affairs. And that was basically because I love the job. So it's again commitment and passion to your work, which led to the fulfillment of my dream. After that, of course, you'd be searching for something. Especially when I got married, I started to establish my family. I wanted something more, something different. And of course, during that time, at that age, of course, something more financially rewarding. Then I started thinking of going to business. But you know, going to business is not easy. What business I would go into because I was a government employee. So I was in a dilemma. I might just stay as a government employee because I think I cannot go into business. Until one day, someone told me about real estate selling. Of course, at first I was hesitant about it because sales. I work in a government agency. I climbed the corporate ladder. I became a government corporate executive. Then I would go into sales. Pardon me for during that time, I was one of those guilty about those looking down on sales. I just felt sales was for people who cannot find a regular good job in the corporate setup. But of course, money talks. So I really wanted to earn. Okay, I will try it. So I attended one of those seminars in a real estate company. During that time, it was Phil Estate who enticed me to go into it. One of the biggest real estate companies during that time. And there was a magic word that I heard in that seminar, that real estate selling is a form of entrepreneurship. When you go into sales, if you consider it as a business, after all, entrepreneurship is a mindset. You are a sales agent, but consider it as a business, then that can be your stepping stone to great success. That got me. From government employee, I decided to go to sales, but with the mindset of an entrepreneur. That started it all again.
So that's great. Now, one of the things, pala po, that it's funny because I think I had a talk with a university. I think it was 2019. This was before COVID, and these were the graduating students. I was talking to about, I don't know, around 800 graduating students, I think, for their sort of enlightenment, career enlightenment into the real world kind of thing. I remember saying the exact same thing that you heard in the seminar when I actually mentioned, because a lot of them wanted to reach to do law and some of them wanted to do business. One of them actually asked me, my Q&A, how do I start business? Wala akong pera. And I remember distinctly saying, na, if you want to do business, the closest profession to entrepreneurship, for a beginner most especially, is sales. And do you agree with that statement, Billy?
100% agree, Ken. That's
100%.
That's the reason why I was able to coin a new business discipline called Salespreneurship, where, as I mentioned, I learned it early in my real estate selling business, that real estate selling is a form of entrepreneurship, so that when I came to a position to do something very significant, I was able to coin that thing, no? Salespreneurship, where, sabi ko lagi, meron kang pusong ahente, meron kang utak negosyante, pwede ka nang maging negosyante balang araw. That would be a stepping stone to being a full-fledged negosyante. So I agree with that, Ken, and I will always promote that. I will always advocate that selling is the best, the fastest way to go into full-fledged entrepreneurship.
I wanted to ask you, Billy, so what are the challenges that you encountered when you were starting? Whatever it is that you feel, stood out during that point in time.
Going to sales was a difficult process for me. Deciding to be a salesperson was one of the most difficult decisions I made, because, number one, I don't have experience in sales. I was a government employee, and as a communication arts graduates, I'm more into creative work. I'm more into writing. I'm more on the back room work. So I never really experienced selling in my career, in my early days of my career. So the challenge was going into sales without knowing about it. And second, again, the hesitation. My parents really did not really agree that I would go into sales, because they were so about me climbing the corporate ladder. So how come you'll just go into sales? Oh nga, no, parang having second thoughts. So when I decided to go into it, I was not really very excited about it, because I was still learning the rudiments of sales. So of course, getting sales results will not be very easy when you're not yet into it, and of course you're still learning the trade. But of course, in any decision, you really have to commit yourself so that you can be successful. It's then that I decided to let go and let God. So that was the decision point. So after that, when I decided to go full blast with it, that was the start of my success story in real estate selling.
That's great to hear. And actually, I want to know more about yung roller coaster ride that you mentioned, Billy. Kasi a lot of people have the tendency of starting something with a lot of passion, and then when they hit a certain roadblock, they lose that passion. And then because they lose the passion, they end up deciding, hey, it's not for me. Right. So I wanted to ask about what did the roller coaster look like for you, and how was the transition? Because you mentioned you decided to fully commit into sales, diba? And you and I both know na hindi, it's not an on switch that happens overnight. So could you talk to us about the roller coaster and then the transition into that decision of going all out when it comes to sales?
It's related to my background. Remember, I was already a manager of the public affairs department of Pag-ibig Fund. Then I started as a part-time seller. So I was the one knocking at the doors of clients in my previous job. I was the one approving a lot of things from clients, from my staff. This time, I was the one practically knocking at the doors of prospective buyers. So imagine the difference when I was doing corporate job. So that was the one of the moments that I really wanted to quit because I want to go back to my corporate job. Of course, the rejections that you would get in every client presentation that you would do, you prepared for it, then they will just say no. So then the other thing is because I work with other sales agents who came from car selling, insurance, were very aggressive as compared to me as a government employee without connections, seeing them closing sales while I was not closing. So I really wanted to quit. I just want to go back to my corporate job. So these are the things that I experienced at first. But of course, this is the cliche that I would like to say. But this is really it, no? Sabi nila, when you are thinking of quitting, always remember how you started and why you started. So that, I guess, saved me from quitting. Instead, I decided to pursue. If they can do it, I can do it. And I remembered I wanted to go into real estate selling because I wanted to provide a good life to my family. And I already realized that there's good income opportunity in real estate selling. So I decided to stay, overcoming all the challenges I encountered at first.
Awesome. There are so many products out there that we can sell that are great. No? Is there a specific reason why you chose real estate? I mean, what would you highlight what are the highlights para sa'yo when it comes to choosing the real estate industry in sales?
Well, I guess it's related to my previous background. I worked, remember, in Pag-ibig.
Yun rin, no?
So it's my first entry into housing, and I really enjoyed the feeling of helping people own a home, especially families who are having their first home for the first time, from being renters, from staying with their families, they would be acquiring their own home. So basically, I just thought if I'll go into business, I'll go into housing. So it was fortunate that the opportunity that came to me is real estate selling. And of course, among all products that we can sell, we know the beauty of real estate. It's something lasting. It's something that appreciates so much. And of course, owning a property, owning a home provides dignity to you, to our families. So I guess there's a huge market, and if there's a huge market, we all know in business there will be huge income opportunity. So basically, that's really made me go into real estate. Especially, I made some investments, and today these are the investments that really helped me where I am today. So how can I stop doing real estate?
Buy what you sell. Yun ang nangyari.
Yes.
you bought what you sell. That's amazing. Here, let's get one thing clear. Real estate is basically one of the most expensive products out there in general. And if the product is expensive, the income is also high. And at the same time, you'll be able to grow your network towards that area, that space where there are a lot of people who have already made it. Diba? So I love networking. I love talking to people, and I think real estate automatically catapults you into an opportunity or into a category where there's opportunity to be able to grow your network. Actually, when I first started thinking about real estate, I'm like, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to buy real estate, let alone sell something that I can't buy. But maybe there's some tips that you could give people who are probably experiencing the same thing. Could you identify maybe three important things that made you successful in the business? Or before you say that, maybe could you let us know what success is to you, and then give us your three advice?
Well, so for me, in the simplest term, success is whenever you get what you want, you are able to achieve whatever goals and aspirations you have in life. When you are able to go to that journey, overcoming all the challenges, then I guess that's simple. My simple definition of success: anything that whenever you get what you want. Of course, they say happiness is wanting what you get, but success is getting what you want. So basically, when you get what you want, that's success. Okay, so it can be simple, it can be major, but whenever you are able to realize or fulfill whatever dreams you have, that is success. Of course, success is always relative, no, to every person. So what made me successful in a way? Basically, three things. Number one, my penchant for service. So because remember, I started my work in government where Pag-ibig is a service organization. So I developed my penchant for service or helping the community, especially those who really need help. And everything that I do in the sales process, from prospecting, qualifying, tripping, closing, I always put service into it. So I am not a salesman. I am a service person. I am not selling a house. I am helping the family own a home so that they can have a comfortable life. So that really excites me to do selling every day. Kahit mainit yung panahon, umuulan, kahit gabi na, I would always be excited to sell because I don't see myself as a salesman. I am considering myself as a service provider, as a solution giver, or as a problem solver. So that excites me to do my work every day. So, and the bonus there is the common fear of people, which is fear of rejection. I was able to eliminate that when I was able to put myself into the service mode. Because when they reject me, when my client says no, finally, I don't feel bad anymore. Because I know they did not reject me personally, but they rejected the opportunity because they cannot afford it or they didn't understand it. So my fear of rejection was lessened, and at the same time, I'm always excited to do my selling because I know I'm doing service. So my penchant for service, I guess, made me successful because I pass it on to all the people I'm working with. That's why they are equally successful at this point. Second is, I guess you mentioned it a while ago. This, I perfectly agree with you when you say you love networking and you believe that networking is a stepping stone to sales success or whatever things that we do for that matter. Networking. In fact, I always say, if you are not networking, you are not working. Remember?
Yes.
Your net worth will always be dependent on your network. And I really started my success in sales not because of selling. Remember my roller coaster in sales, because I was so inferior to those car sellers. So I cannot be number one. I cannot be number one in the sales contest. What I discovered to really compete in the very competitive real estate selling is really focus on organizing, from recruitment training and motivating people, inviting people. Instead of selling real estate properties, I started selling earning opportunities to people who wanted to become successful. So it's basically organization building. That's why they call me Master Salespreneur. As mentioned earlier, I used to do the salespreneurship myself, but later on I was able to pass it on to more people. So they are salespreneurs themselves.
I hope you guys heard all those three. Let me recap to you, because this is really, really important. And a lot of times we look for a magic bullet when there's actually none. But it takes a lot of dedication to these three things that Billy mentioned. So the first is pension for service, your desire to help people. One of the quotes that na ginawa kong staple sa IQI Philippines is that we don't want to be product pushers. We want to be problem solvers. So again, don't be a product pusher, be a problem solver. Because then, yun nga, tulad na sinabi ni Billy, pag ma-reject kayo, pwede nating sabihin sa kanila, it's not me, it's you. Pwede natin gawin yun. They're rejecting the solution, not the one giving the solution. Okay, again, so pension for service is number one. And number two, networking. Network. Hindi po yung tig 4,000 o tig 8,000 kung ano. When we're talking about networking, we're talking about building connections. Because this life is just that. We are beings that are connected one way or another, and it's our responsibility, it's our obligation to solidify those connections. And tulad ng sinabi ni Billy, without networking, we can't build our business, right? We can't multiply ourselves, because it's about multiplying yourself. Sabi nga niya, he used to just do the sales, but then he was able to transfer it. That's how it grew his business. And of course, finally, advocacy. Have an advocacy, right? Have something that you're so passionate about, and just let it scream through your work. Did I get that right naman? The third one, Billy? Tama naman yon?
Yes, it's advocacy, but more specifically, my personal advocacy called Salespreneurship, which
Salespreneurship.
if I may add, it was connected also in what you're saying kanina. My reason or my objective for the Salespreneurship advocacy is number one, to uplift the self-confidence and self-concept of salespeople. Sana mawala na yung guilt feeling ko in the past that I looked down on sales, so that sales agents would always say, ahente lang po ako. Today, through my salespreneurship advocacy, I don't want agents saying that they are ahente lang, but they are proud negosyante or salespreneurs. Second objective ko for my advocacy is to really bring the selling profession into the next level at par with other professions, like yung sinasabi mo kanina, doctors, engineers, architects, lawyers. Because I'm sure, Ken, you would agree, today you would see a lot of salespeople who are doing the right things. They are comparable or at par with professionals like doctors and
or more.
In terms of a stature, lifestyle, wealth, they can be equal. So let's stop being with the mindset of ahente lang po ako, nahiya po ako. So with my advocacy of salespreneurship, the self-confidence of the salespeople must be up. The selling profession must be to the next level. And of course, I would like to help more salespeople to be in the level where they will be financially free, financially abundant. Because sales is basically a very lucrative job. And most important, sales plays a big role in the business. Imagine a business setup without sales. What will happen to the goods of the manufacturers? So how can they go to the consumers without salespeople? So that's how important the role of a salesperson. So let's be proud of it.
Awesome. So again, guys, there is no such thing dapat as ahente lang ako. I wanted to ask, how did you get into that space where, kasi hindi siya ganun ka-related sa course mo. Right? How did you deal with that? Because it surprises me that akala ko dati lang yun na hindi related sa course ko. Because I'll let you know, I have a bachelor's degree from the Conservatory of Music. And now I'm a public speaker and a trainer. It has nothing to do with my degree. How did that go?
In the process that I was looking for a business, I really wanted to put up my own advertising agency or at least a PR company so that my business will still be related on what I studied, related to my educational statement, because I don't want my parents to get mad. And of course, it was also my pride during that time na I have to work on what I studied for.
Awesome.
But the calling, the real estate calling came. This is how I psychologize myself to really make a decision for real estate selling. I already saw the income opportunity, but as you mentioned, it doesn't fit clearly to my educational background. What I did to myself, I talked to myself, Billy, if you are intending to put up a PR agency in the future, where you'll be looking for clients where they would pay you retainer money, no, or consultancy fees, no? Why not put up an imaginary PR firm? In your mind, when you go into real estate, you are putting up an imaginary PR firm where your loan client, the only client that you would have, that you would exclusively handle, is your real estate team that you will put up. So there, I decided 100% that I would go into real estate selling, so that my real estate selling, remember, I considered it as an enterprise, so that the moment that I started doing real estate selling, I did not do it the sales way. I managed it as an enterprise by putting a PR, marketing, communications, and other related matters to it. That I was able to grow it big because I started branding at that early for my real estate team. I started entrepreneurship. The brand names of my teams, of my agents, were really coded as if I was really a PR agency. So I did my recruitment of people not through just advertisements, just like real estate companies are doing. I did my recruitment by, like you, I started to conduct training programs, sending press releases to newspapers, selling my training sessions. But the people who attend my training sessions, I offered them the opportunity to do real estate selling business. That's why I decided to develop myself as a trainer also, because sayang naman, if you have a lot of people, but if you don't train and motivate them properly, they will just go away. Of course, after that, I realized there's a third part, retention, or retaining the people. So it's a three-phase thing, no? Recruitment, training, and retaining. So I run a program where how do you recruit, train, and retain sales winners or sales champions in your organization? That was the challenge, so that you can maintain a very stable organization, continuous recruitment, very comprehensive, massive training for them. And of course, you have to do a retention strategy also, so that at any given time, you always have a very strong organization. As I said, it was not really difficult for me because during that time, I was the only one doing it actively. Then when I started doing it, it became my brand. So I was more of a top-notcher in recruitment rather than in sales. But eventually, I benefited from it, especially when the crisis came, because I had a bigger organization in the team. So it became my passion to do recruitment than selling. So from then on, when I put up my own company, Green Circle Realty, I really focused immediately on recruitment. So I am now pushing what I call the Master Connector program, where for your business to really flourish, you have to become a master connector. You have to establish master connectors in your organization so that by just dealing with this master connect, you can be connected everywhere, just like what you're doing now. There are master connectors in your team so that you can really do business all over the world because they are the one connecting you or connecting the organization. So in any business, connection will really play a very important role in our success. Let's all rise and soar during this pandemic and we can always be successful. Sabi nga, let's all be successful for all seasons, for the benefit of ourselves, for the family, for our families, and of course the community in general.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Billy.